Hey guys, welcome back. My name's Mike. Hope you're doing great and having a wonderful day today. So, I just want to apologize up front. This one might be a little bit of a long one. I watched a video, and I'm not going to get into the details, but I watched a video that Kevin over at Kevin Toll Reads put out a few days ago. And in our little community here, it's been kind of making the rounds. A lot of comments about it. You know, everyone's got their different perspective and views, but it was about book reviews on YouTube. And I'm not going to go into that or talk about book reviews on YouTube of whether you should do them or you shouldn't or whatever. But it got me thinking about other stuff. So, this is going to be kind of a two-part video. I've got some points here that I wrote down that I just want to kind of go over. And then, because I'm an addict, I'm going to show you some books that I picked up. But about the books, so Valentine's Day was just 2 days ago, and my wife and I, in this year, 2026, we will have been together for 20 years. So this year, she did everything. She planned everything as far as Valentine's go. You know, I did get her some flowers and, and things like that, but she did all the plans. She did all the plans, made everything, made all the arrangements. So she kind of pampered me a little bit on this Valentine's Day, which was amazing. I loved it. We had a great time. We went and did a lot of things together. But one of those things, obviously, was she let me go on a little book buying splurge. So, of course, I got books for Valentine's Day. That was one of the gifts, So I'm going to show those in the end. But I want to go over these points here just because I want to get my thoughts out a little bit. And on any of these points or all of these points, if you have an opinion, put it in the comments. If you have an opinion strongly or negatively or whatever, make your own video on it or, put it in the comments or something. But so the first one is like my reading pace. And it's like, I was just thinking, like, has YouTube affected my reading pace? Yeah, I think it has. It has slowed me down a little bit because, and that's okay for me. Like, I'm fine with that. I don't always have to have my nose in a book. I can't because of life, work and everything else. But I've found so many great booktube channels, right, that I'm subscribed to, and I frequently comment on all of these channels' videos. So yeah, I'm spending more time than I used to watching booktube, and of course that has to take time out of something else, right? You only have so many hours in the day. So I've slowed down a little bit on my reading, but to me it's worth it because I'm also building friendships, building getting to know other people. Maybe not personally. Maybe I'll never meet these other booktubers in person. But that's okay because I'm just trying to use the platform that I have, which is my booktube channel, to encourage and uplift other booktubers, small channels, my size, a little bit bigger, whatever. Because that's just my personality. I've always liked to uplift and encourage others, whether that's in real life, outside of booktube land, or here on booktube. So I hope that at least a few of you have felt that from me. Yeah, sometimes I make my comments too wordy, because that's just who I am. I'm very not emotional as far as I can't control my emotions, but I can relate to so many people on so many different things. And I just like to, I'm trying to word this right. I want to encourage and uplift and promote other people. I'm not just one of those, I can be, but I don't want to be just one of those people that give your video a thumbs up and move on. No, because if you take the time to make a video, whether that's a 5-minute video or a 50-minute video, I want you to know as a content creator that somebody, in this instance me, has taken the time to watch your video and listen to it. A lot of times what I'll do is while I'm watching videos on all the booktube channels that I'm subscribed to, I have a notebook and I'll write down just short, quick jot notes. You know, maybe like 7 minutes in, we'll just say you said something. And I was like, ooh, I like this. I'll write that down. 20 minutes in, maybe you said something different. I'll write that down. Because this is kind of behind the scenes, but I've had problems with YouTube where, like, if I'm watching your video in the moment and I'm trying to type out the comment as your video is playing, I'll send it. Well, then I think of something else and something else, right? But then I've also had problems where I'll send it and then somehow it ends up on someone else's video. I don't know whatever, you know, what that's about. But so I want you to know as a content creator that I'm engaging and I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm not just turning on your video and having it in my ear, you know, in my earbud in the background, and you're droning on. That's wasting my time. And it's not getting anything for you out of it, you know, because like I said in the beginning, my channel, I'm just doing this for me. If nobody even watches it, I'm still going to do it because it's just for me. All this extra of meeting all these people, getting all these comments and likes and subscribers and stuff, that's all extra for me. And I love it. I love all the extra. But even if none of that was there, I'd still make this because it's just, I'm doing it for fun. I'm not going to fall into the traps of the algorithm. I'm not going to fall into the traps of someone else, a booktuber said, well, you have to do X, Y, or Z, or you should do it this way. I don't care. If you want to do it your way, go for it. I'm going to do it my way. If you don't want to watch my videos because of something, you know, I don't know, then don't watch it. It's fine. I'm not forcing anybody to watch anything. A lot of the videos that I make, I know probably some of you don't relate to because it just, I don't know, maybe it doesn't appeal to you, it doesn't interest you or whatever, and that's fine. There's some videos that other booktubers that I watch make where maybe they're talking about a certain book or something. Maybe I'm not super interested in that book, but I still want to hear what you have to say because, like I said, I'm just trying to build. I'm not building this community because the community's already been here. I'm just trying to somehow lift up the community, if that makes sense. So, and some of these, well, a lot of these points are just kind of sporadic. They're just like all over the place, but I'm just going to touch all of them and talk about it. That's why I said this might be a long video. The next one, rereading. My thoughts on rereading. My first question is, for all you guys out there that have reread stuff, let me know, because I haven't yet. I haven't reread anything in my life. I've read a book and moved on. I do have a plan this year to reread a few books I read last year. But I'm trying to like get behind the scenes, you know, trying to behind the idea on some of this. So like rereading, is it worth it? Because, for example, The Count of Monte Cristo, like right now, Patrick, he's reading that. That's a long book. It takes a lot of your time and effort. So we'll just say, I don't know, I'm just making this up. If it takes you 4 weeks to read The Count of Monte Cristo, 1 month, and you want to reread that, it's probably going to take you about the same. That's a big investment, right? Is it worth it to you? Do you think it's worth it to reread stuff? Give me your thoughts on that. If you reply that in a video or put it in the comments, just let me know, because I'm just trying to bounce ideas off, and get suggestions and tips from other people. And it doesn't have to be fiction. It could be nonfiction, history, whatever. Because again, all of us here in this little community, a lot of us read different stuff. And that's what I like. So just let me know your thoughts on that. The next point I have is how my taste has changed over time, and also because of YouTube. My taste has changed over time. I kind of compare it to, and you won't ever know this until you're just that age, right? I'm 37. I don't know what it's like to be 37 until I was 37, right? So when you're in your 20s, it's different. You have to live it. So there's no way to know until you're that age. But it's like to me, I'm getting older. Food, for example, I've just kind of found myself, I'm kind of just doing like more plain food. I don't know. I've always loved exotic, trying new things, like when we go to Alabama, for example, on vacation, I'm the one that's always like, I'm going to order this fish, this fish, this fish off the menu, try all these different stuff, right? Clams, mussels, whatever. And I'll still do that, but I find myself more changing my taste to just kind of more plain, generic stuff, maybe. And that's kind of how my reading has evolved a little bit too over the years. My bread and butter, I started out with suspense thrillers. That's what got me into reading. That's what opened up the world of reading for me. I'm kind of getting away from that genre quite a bit. And that ties into BookTube. Has it changed because of BookTube? Yes. And I think in a good way for me personally. BookTube has opened up a lot of new genres for me, a lot of new perspectives and ideas and thoughts from other booktubers, new books, whatever genre it is, new books in general. So I think it has affected my taste for reading overall, but I think in a good way. Next topic is the season of reading I'm currently in. I'm in a season of expansion in my reading. Exploration, finding new things, new genres, new books in those genres. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And that'll make sense on a few more points down. But all right, so the next one, the comfort of being surrounded by unread books. How a personal library changes the reading experience. I don't want to get into the debate of consumerism and buying books and all this stuff because I know why they do it, right? You have some of these gigantic mega booktube channels that they're dropping videos every week of book hauls and this and that, and they read 30 books this week and they've hauled 100 books this week and that and that. I'm not getting off into that rabbit trail of the consumerism side and all the booktube and monetization and all that. But to me, like I've said, take it how you want. I don't care. I'm building a retirement library, right? I am curating my library on what books I want. I've pretty much gotten away from the I'm just out and I see the new shiny book, right, and it's on TikTok and YouTube and all this stuff. Oh, I gotta have that. I've gotten away from that. I don't really read new stuff anymore, but I do have, like everyone else, a giant list of books that I want to read. But that giant list is because I'm curating that. I'm doing my own research. I'm looking into that stuff. I'm not just going out and getting all the newest of new and whatever, right? But it's nice for me personally, and it's comforting for me to have my own personal library of unread books. Because, and this is just me thinking out loud, so again, make comments. Would you want, I don't know, I'm just say 500 books in your room on bookshelves, and you've read every one of them? I wouldn't want that. They're just taking up space, at that time. I want to have stuff that I haven't read that I want to read. And it's just comforting to have that around me, those books around me. There's a lot of times where I like to just sit on the floor and buy my books. And maybe I'm just even looking. I'm just looking at the spines. I'm just daydreaming, mulling thoughts over in my head. Maybe I've had a stressful day. I come home and maybe at the moment my wife and daughter, they're doing her homework. I'll just come in the bedroom and just play, quote, play with books, just kind of mess with them and look at them and just touch them and open them up, and go through them. So the next point is reading broadly or reading widely, pros and cons, in my opinions. So if you just do a random Google search of like how many genres are out there, not counting subgenres, there's 35 quote popular genres. Now, I'm not going off into the weeds on this either. I'm just giving you kind of basic, if you were just to jump online and look this up. 35, right? Well, I tallied them up, and I read 18 different genres total out of those 35. That's a lot. That is a lot. And again, this is just personal. This is just my opinion. I can't just stick to one or two. You know, and 18's a lot. So what I'm trying to get at is pros and cons to that is, for me, that's how my mind works. It's comforting to know I've got all that potential. I've got all that, a giant pool of genres to choose from. Pretty much never ending, you know, never ending selection of stuff that I could read, want to look into, research in, whatever. The cons to it, sometimes it slows my reading down because my list is so big, because I read 18 different genres. Sometimes I just kind of get stuck of, I don't know what to read. Like right now, I'm going through a phase of nonfiction history and I've been loving it. I don't know how long that wave is going to go, you know, but I'm going to keep going with it. And if a month from now, 2 months from now, I'm like, okay, I've had enough of nonfiction history, I'll slow down and I've got 17 other genres to jump into, right? So kind of pros and cons to me personally. Let me know, how many genres do you read? If you read only one, if you read all 35, I don't know, you know, but just let me know your thoughts of, do you have any pros or cons for you about reading so widely? The next one is the pressure to read to make videos. I think I actually covered this once in another video. I don't have any pressure to read. Oh, hang on. I dropped my pen. I don't have any pressure to read because I make videos, right? Like, I'm not like, I've got to read 3 books a week because every Friday I'm going to do book reviews and I've got to, you know, have this many done in a month. No, because that's not how I work. That's not how my mind works. I did play with the idea for this new year of trying to do like a reading wrap-ups, you know, something like that. That's not me. I can't do that because I don't read that fast, right? I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I'm going to do every Friday, I'm going to, you know, do a weekly reading wrap-up, or every 2 weeks or whatever. I could do it once a month, but again, that's just how my mind works. And every one of us and every one of you are a little bit different, because if I put too much pressure on myself, I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to get stressed out, you know. And I'm just going to touch on this briefly, but I've dealt with anxiety for a long time. Too much of that, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z this week, right? Or I'm going to do X, Y, and Z this month. Puts too much pressure on myself, and it gets, you know, gets my stress and my anxiety level up too much, and then I don't want to do it, right? So I don't pressure myself. I'm just doing this for fun. I've said that a million times, and I'm going to say it a million more. I just want to talk about books. I want to see other people's videos about books, whether they're doing strictly book reviews or they're just talking about books or bookish stuff like I do. That's what I want to do. And I want to talk to you guys in the comments. I've got a few of your guys' emails. You know, I want to talk to you guys in the email, this and back and forth. That's what I want to do. It's what's been fun for me in building that community-based relationships and stuff like that. The next one is the comfort of slow progress. I used to be one of those of, well, I've got to read this amount in this month or this week or whatever, right? I've got to constantly have my nose in a book. I don't do that anymore, and I haven't for a while, because it's not realistic. It's not how my life personally works, and probably most of yours, right? I have enjoyed taking my time because, again, I'm not just a reader. For me, I'm also a collector. That's one reason I have so many books. Yes, I'm curating my library, but I'm also a collector at heart. And half the fun for me, if not 3/4 of the fun for me, is the hunt, right? The research, hunting bookstores. I'm just out and about. I go to the bookstores all the time. I don't always buy something, but it's just the atmosphere. It's fun for me to go and do those type of stuff. So yes, it slows my reading down, but I'm okay with that. I've read some big books last year that it was really nice just to slow down. I used to fall into the trap. Probably, I don't know if some of you did or not, but I'm like, well, I've got to read 100 books this year, right? So I got to throw a bunch of small ones in there to reach that number. I gave all that up. I don't care. If I have a set number for me that I want to read a year, yes. But if I don't reach that, oh well. I'm going to enjoy the books that I'm reading now in the moment. And if I don't read, I don't know, 100 books in a year, I don't care. Maybe I only read 30 or 40 or 20. Because at the end of the day, me, like every one of you, I'm juggling life and hobbies, right? And if you make videos, you're juggling life and hobbies and making videos. That's why I don't necessarily struggle with ideas of videos of what I need to make next, because I'm not monetized, so this is not a job for me. This is just a hobby. So there's no expectation, right? I'm not setting an expectation of, well, I got to do this, this, and this. So next one, the attention span I have versus the one I want, right? Or it's the quote unquote, like the lore, like I said, of booktubers reading 20 books in a week. Who has that attention span? Unless you don't work a job and your sole full-time job is YouTube. Yeah, you probably can read that much. I don't. I put in 9-10 hours every day at work, like most of you, So my attention span, yeah, I would love to have my attention span is all I do is read, and I'm reading 200 in a year or whatever, but that's not realistic for me personally. So the one I have is when I can make time to read, whether that's during the day, sporadically, in the moment, or at night, whatever. So next point, I've only got 2 more here, and then I'll show you the books and I'll wrap this up. Why my TBR never really shrinks, it just changes. Because I've got a million books I want to read, like everybody else. And it never shrinks, it just changes, right? Maybe, say you've got 100 books on your TBR right now. 20 of those, you're like, I don't really want to read, so scratch those off, take them off the list. But you also have 20 more in reserve that you put right in that place. So you still have 100. It never cuts down. It just changes a little bit. And that's kind of how I am too. I've got so many I don't know how many books I have on my TBR. I could not tell you. I could not give you a number. I would probably have to physically count every book that I have and then see what I have read and haven't, stuff like that. But and the last point I have on this big list here is reading wrap-ups, like weekly reading wrap-ups versus monthly. I already touched on this a little bit ago. I didn't mean to because I was trying to wait, but it's not really super realistic for me because life is just so busy. So if I do a monthly reading wrap-up and I've only got 2 books, my thought in the beginning was, well, I can't do a wrap-up unless I've read this amount of books, right? Whatever that number is. I don't care about that. I've gotten away. So if I've only been able to read 2 books in the month, I'm just going to do a review or talk about those books at the end of the month, and that's it. I don't have to have 10 books. I've got to read 10 before I can make a review. No, I don't care about that. And I don't think you guys should either. I don't think you guys should put the pressure on yourselves. If you want to, go for it. If it works for you, great. But I don't think you should. I don't think you need to, any of us, because again, I don't care. It's none of my business. I don't know how many of you are monetized. And if you are, that's great. But if you're not monetized, again, you're just doing this for fun, right? So you shouldn't put all that pressure on you is what I'm trying to get at. So, all right, back to the Valentine's thing. My wife pampered me this year. We went to this glass making studio, this guy, and it was a husband and wife, and they make stuff out of glass, you know, melted glass. And we went, and I should have grabbed them. I didn't. They're in the other room. But we made 2 hearts. They're paperweights. They're, you know, about this big roughly, and they're hearts. We've never done that. That was really awesome. My wife did a great job planning this year. It was great. It took a lot of pressure off of me. I just had to do the flowers and stuff, you know, for my wife and daughter. But so we did that on Saturday evening. But Saturday midday, she took me book shopping, because that's what I like. We went to 3 different places, and I'm going to show you the books I got here. I'm going to do this one last because this is my favorite. I'm not going to show that one because it might be a little controversial. I've said this before too. This video or this channel for me is just about books and bookish stuff. I'm not going to get into the religion. I'm not going to get into politics. I'm not going to get into arguments with people about controversial subjects. I don't care. This platform is not for that. If I met you in real life, I would talk to you about anything under the sun, literally. I don't have a problem talking about anything with anybody. But this channel, this is not for that stuff. So I just want to put that off there because I bought a book and it's politics related, but I don't want to show it on here because I don't want to get in some argument with people about, you know, anything political. But if you guys remember a few videos back, let me see if I can get my finger here. These books up here, they're that Arcturus press. And I know Austin said he knows this book press. Right there, those. We found 5 more of those. And those are just really cool, cute little books that I'm trying to get the whole collection because I'm a collector. And so I found 5 of them here. I'm going to show these off. The first one is The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. I mean, they're little, cute little books. Frankenstein. If you've never heard of this Arcturus Publishing or Arcturus Press, look into them. I mean, they have way more other stuff than just these little books, but these books are pretty cool. Next one is The Great Gatsby. Dracula. I didn't show the spine on all of these, but that's kind of similar what it is here. And then the Odyssey. They didn't have the Iliad, which I was kind of disappointed because I wanted to get both of them together, but they didn't have it. So that was at, and if you are from America, you probably know the store. It's called Five Below. That's where I found those. This one, so I broke down finally, and I went to a what's it called? Spacing out here. I don't even remember the name now. It's not a Barnes and Noble. Oh, it's what is it called? Oh man, I don't remember. I'll think of it in a minute. But I went to this bookstore and I found this. This was on sale. It's called The Vanishing Hour. This is kind of a suspense, and I know I said I'm kind of getting away from that, but I still like the genre. And the other ones I found at my local bookstore that's local to me, and these are all going to be history nonfiction. First one, because again I'm interested in World War II era, Germany, Masters of Death, the SS, and the Invention of the Holocaust by Richard Rhodes. And a book I just finished recently, which I've shown, is called Inside Hitler's Germany. And I mentioned in part of that book, there was a section in there that fascinated me. I didn't know anything about it. It was about what they call Hitler Youth. Very sad. So sad to me. But I found this book. It's called The Hitler Youth: How Germany Indoctrinated a New Generation. Just unbelievably sad and horrific to me. But I found that because of that book, I found this one here. And then I have one more Germany related here. This one's called In Hitler's Germany: Everyday Life in the Third Reich. And it's here. And I'm going to read you just a little bit of the blurb here. It says, how did the Germans experience the Nazi era? How did it affect their lives? In the schools, on the job, at home? How much did they know about the concentration camps? Did they all just, quote, follow orders? So this is more of a kind of a in-depth day-to-day type thing. Now, before I show you these last two, I got to show you this, the one I'm currently reading, because it'll make sense. So I'm currently reading, thanks to Saracen, over at Saracen Salute, A History of Middle East. Now, I've never read anything like this before, history-wise. And I'm flying through it pretty good. This is more interesting to me than I thought it would be. So I've looked into more books of like the history of a certain country, right? Just kind of an overview of the whole thing, like this one. Well, in reading A History of the Middle East, it referenced Britain a lot, obviously, because if you know anything about the history of the Middle East, Britain played a big role, not a great way, but so I found this one. It's The Story of Britain by Roy Strong. So after I read that one, then I want to go to this one and the next one. And then the other one is also about Britain. It's called Empire, The Rise and Demise of the British World Order and the Lessons for Global Power. It's by Neil Ferguson. So, but like I said, this nonfiction history has been really fun, and I've been learning a lot. So the last one, I was like a kid in a candy store. I'm not even joking. When we found this book, we went to a different location. I seen this and I was just like, oh my gosh. I grabbed it off the shelf. I was looking at it and it didn't have a price on the book. And I was like, oh no, you know. And I was like, I wonder how much it is. And my wife goes, well, go take it up to go see. So I take it up to the register. I go up there and the guy was looking at it and he goes, well, what was it, like $24.99. I was like, okay, yep, I'm getting it in my mind. And then I walk it, because this is after all these other books. So in my, I'm like, I've already reached my limit, you know, on what I can buy for this buying spree that I was able to go on. My wife was like, just get it, because she knows how much I love this author, and I've said it before. This is Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. This is beautiful. Oh, this book is beautiful. I'm going to try to get all of it here. This is just another edition of Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. Look at the gold. Oh, I was so excited. Now, on the front plate, this Walt Whitman when he was young, a young man, with the poems here. And then on the very back page, the plates, that's what Walt Whitman when he was older, close to death. This one is by Canterbury Classics here, and if you can see that logo, there's like two C's. You can probably see it better on this. Canterbury Classics. Now Canterbury Classics, I do have some in my, it's backwards, so I went right over here. These books up here that you see my finger, those are 4 of those are Canterbury Classics. And that publishing house, they just make such beautiful books. There was absolutely no way I'd have sold one of my kidneys in that bookstore. I was like, I'm not leaving without this, you know. It's one of those. I was so excited. This is awesome. So that's all I had, really. I just wanted to make this video and kind of put my thoughts out a little bit. But again, please leave your thoughts. I don't know, make a video response if you want. You don't have to, whatever. Just leave comments. And keep encouraging each other in this community, because there's a lot of great channels and there's a lot of great people. All these people, and I've put it out multiple times, of all the people that I'm subscribed to, and I don't know how much it is, just like 30 something or something. It's a lot. They're all wonderful people. They're just like the rest of us. They're just making videos for fun, throwing them up, and I don't know, but just keep encouraging each other, keep uplifting each other. We'll just keep going one day at a time. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.